Alright, so this is 4.8, the quadratic formula. And I know that very few of you actually want to see this, but I'm going to show you where it came from. You don't even know the quadratic formula yet, but it's not something that's made up out of thin air. Yesterday, the lesson was complete the square, wasn't it? Here's where the quadratic formula comes from. We're going to complete the square.
You want to write this?
You probably should. On standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. When we're done with this, we're going to have a little formula. The quadratic formula was made up entirely because they discovered kids couldn't complete the square very well. So, something else comes, right? Called quadratic formula. What was the first step in completing the square from yesterday?
You gotta make it look like that.
You square, you subtract this.
Yes. Well, I suggested y'all look over your notes at night. Didn't I?
What?
Didn't I make the suggestion y'all start looking over your notes at night? Just 5 minutes, see what was done, refresh yourself. I'll start it. That doesn't fit the bare minimum narrative, does it? That doesn't fit the I want an A or a B without working narrative either. Second step.
Square.
Nope.
Divide.
Divide.
The number in front of A.
What?
Well,
Divide by A.
Yeah.
You don't have a clue where it is, just follow it. Divide it out. Starts getting pretty ugly at this point in time. Step after that.
You gotta get rid of the square root. On the square.
We haven't formed a square yet. We haven't formed a factor on the left-hand side that's squared. It's a process to get you to that point. You have to make the left-hand side something that factors perfectly. It took 2 steps to get that. Good, look at your notes. You could. Took them, didn't you? Everybody but Justin, he's the only one with an excuse. And Grant. We have moved to the right-hand side. Yes, this is what we did yesterday. This is where it is. Yesterday was complete the square. We've done steps 1 and 2.
Replace C with the results expected. So, what it says. So step 1 is take half of B.
Look at the full complete the square process. We actually complete the square. There's 8 steps listed to complete the square.
Divide by 2.
Divide what by 2?
Divide x squared.
No.
Everything.
No. B. Divide B by 2.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you find B? What's it in front of?
X.
It's in front of X. So in this example, what is B?
B over A.
B over 2 is actually B over A over 2. What do you get to do with that 2, just like you did yesterday? Add to the numerator, shift it to the denominator. That's b over 2a. After you took half of b, something was done.
And it says add b
Not yet.
over 2.
It's step by step. No, you don't add b over, you don't add this.
Found it.
No, you just did what, step 3?
4.
What's step 4?
Found b over 2 squared.
5b over 2 squared. So this piece has to be squared. What do you get when you square that piece?
B over 2a times b over 2a.
Which is?
2b over
No. What's b times b?
b squared over 4a squared.
There you go. What is done with that piece?
And square root the top of the
No.
Can we go to step 5?
I want read all of step 4.
Find b over 2 squared.
And what's step 5?
Add b over 2 squared to both sides.
Yes, when you have a list of steps, you do that in order.
I know, but like sometimes I don't know if I'm done with that step or not. I didn't know we were done with that step.
You add it to both sides. What's step 5, Ross?
Add b over 2
And
squared.
what's step 6?
Factor LA left hand side of a perfect square.
So, back to the left-hand side. I drew arrows yesterday. God, I love you. I drew arrows yesterday. As soon as you take half of B, you know how it factors. You got intimidated by that scary looking thing. I told you not to ever think about how it factors. I told you to draw arrows. I told you to write stuff down. I don't know if you write anything down. Only thing hard about algebra 2 is your heads. Right hand side has to be combined. Those are 2 fractions. To add 2 fractions together, what do you have to have? Denominator. I'm going to make this one 4a squared. What did I multiply a by to become 4a squared? 4a. If I do it to the bottom, what else do I have to do? Top. So 4a times a negative c would be minus 4ac. So that works. Change order here a little bit. I don't like the way negative 4ac plus b squared looks. Make it b squared minus 4ac. It's more pleasing. Both pieces were over 4a squared. So the combined expression is over 4a squared. Now we have something squared and only something squared equal to something. Now you take the square root. You've got to have one thing squared on the left before you can worry about a square root. That's what we have. What is the square root of x plus b over twice a squared? Of course it is. Square root cancels a square. When you take the square root of a radical, you can take the square root of the top and or the bottom. What's the square root of a 4a squared? What times itself generates 4a squared? 2a. The bottom's going to become 2a. You like pandas, so you include the plus or minus symbol. You're going to be hard hit all year. there is an addition or a subtraction symbol inside of the radical, you cannot evaluate it. You have never been able to evaluate it. You never will be able to evaluate it. Nothing you can do with it. Only if there's a multiplication symbol in there. That doesn't possess it. How do you solve for x? Subtract. You have negative b over 2a plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Those two fractions have the same common denominator. If you have the same common denominator and you put them together, that's kind of how it works. And you get this little deal right here. Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over twice a. If you haven't written anything down yet, you better write that one down. That's quadratic formula. I'm sorry, I actually showed you where it came from.
No,
Every little theorem you had in geometry, I taught it, I showed them where it came from. Because I know it.
are you gonna expect us to do this on our own?
You?
Yes.
No. Him? Maybe. It's not that hard.
I don't know if I take that as a compliment.
You're not honors. You're still young. You're still young, you want to do everything your way.
I just don't get it.
Takes practice. All right, so x squared plus 3x equals 2. First off, you're going to have to memorize the quadratic formula. It helps if you sing it. Because x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Nobody going to sing? If you sing the song, you'll memorize the quadratic formula. If you won't sing the song, you probably won't memorize the quadratic formula. Notice that divisor is extended all the way to opposite b. Notice over the radical, it's the whole thing, everything but x. Memorize that thing. You can't factor. That thing saves your butt. Obviously, you can't remember the steps to complete the square. That thing saves your butt. You only have to complete the square if you're told to complete the square. Yeah. To use this thing, you're going to have to be split in standard form. You're going to have to be set equal to 0. That's the deal. You have to be set equal to 0.
Subtract the thing.
Subtract the 2. You'll notice it has only the letters A, B, and C in it. Right? So pick out A, B, and C. Emma, what's A? A is 1. Ross, what's B? Good, you got something right. Justin, what's C? Nope. -2. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. Take them out, plug them in. Everywhere you see a b, what are you going to become? You become opposite b. There's a negative symbol there. What's the next thing you got to do?
But your question one, and then your base, so 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative
All over?
2 times 1.
A lot of kids don't write that all over part for some reason. Just forget it's a fraction. Then you do the math you can do. Figure out what's inside that radical. It's not even that hard on this example.
So
What's in it?
9 minus 8 is a 1.
9 minus 8. You have a negative times
9 plus
negative.
8.
9 plus 8. 17. Both pieces over 2. I actually break it apart right here. Are both pieces over 2? Yeah, they are. Both pieces are over 2. I always break it apart right there. That's just how I do it. So you have one answer is negative 3/2 plus the root of 17 over 2. The other answer is negative 3/2 minus the root of 17 over 2. Now those are funny looking things, aren't they? Are they real?
Yes.
Yeah, they are. Those are called irrational numbers. These are real, irrational answers. There's 2 of them. They are real. They are real, irrational answers. Most people don't know what irrational is. There's a lot of people who say irrational, they say things like pi. Pi is irrational. Never heard any decimals. Root 2 is irrational. Root 17 is a prime. It's going to be irrational. Anyways, you got 2 real answers there out of that thing. The reason we did that is because it wouldn't factor. Would x squared plus 3x minus 2 a factor? Are there factors of negative 2 that add to 3? So we have to rely on something else. All right, let's see what your president did wrong. I think that's the next example, isn't it? He's awfully proud of himself. An error analysis question. What did Joe Biden do wrong? Everything. In this math problem. This isn't a place for political discussion.
Well, you gotta put the negative 12x and 15 on the left side.
So you're thinking he didn't understand the form. You can put it on the left. You can also,
I gotta put it on the left.
well, you do you. You keep making your grades.
Guess I'll put it on the left.
The reason I keep that piece positive is because I love factoring. And it's way easier to factor if that's positive. Then I can quickly realize there's something factored in. That is how pretty much anybody who teaches mathematics would do it. They would not shift left on that example. They would shift right. They're not going to do that. They're going to make things look easier on themselves. So that's how it would probably be done by most people who are pretty good at the subject. What's wrong?
He still has 8. That was
He's got his A's as negatives. What should they be?
negative.
Positive. There's one other little thing that might be thought of as a problem. This piece right here is opposite B. That's going to be positive 12, right? A lot of people are really peculiar about this. They would want that negative 12 to be there instead of parentheses. But I'm not. Because what happens if you square a negative? Positive. So that's, I wouldn't correct that. No need to correct that. That's going to be fine. You square something, that's going to be positive. Don't even worry about the sign on that one. All right, there's Joe Biden's problem. Let's go ahead and answer the rest of this now. This is, by the way, x equals.
Did Joe Biden actually do this problem?
No. That's just a stupid sticker that was on gas pumps.
Oh, no. Well, positive.
Joe Biden did not do this problem. I seriously doubt when using high school algebra 2 is required.
144.
You need to get a calculator for this. You can grab one for this. We usually start allowing calculators pretty heavily up once we get to the quadratic formula.
324.
Nope,
It's 144
it's minus something.
minus 4 times 45, which is 180 plus 44 minus 44, so it's negative 36 over 6.
Yay, Ross, you're redeeming yourself. Of course you can, it's over 6. I've done the break apart, that would actually be my next line. Over 6 is 2.
And negative 36 over 6 is negative 6.
No, it's not.
Alright.
Square root of negative 36, is it real or is it imaginary? It's the imaginary.
It's imaginary because it's negative.
So this is the imaginary root of 36, which is 6i. Listen, wasn't that long ago. I think the reason a lot of y'all don't understand I, because I went back and looked, 90% of the students who said they did the I in 1 through I8 cheated on it.
You don't hate?
The IXL stuff on the I subcategory. 90% of y'all took credit for a grade you didn't actually get. Your phones did it for you.
Could you not, maybe?
I looked at times. No way in hell y'all are faster than me. No way you missed nothing. If I ever assign IXL again, I will go back and I'll look at reasonable times. That'll be based on the kids who have 100+ averages, how long it takes them to do it. If it takes them 45 minutes to do it, it better take you 45 minutes to do it.
You have 6i over 6. You not make that I.
Of course you can. I was getting on to people about cheating. You don't know anything if you cheat all the time. There you go, 2 plus or minus I. What are your 2 answers?
It's 2 plus I and 2 minus I.
X is 2 plus I, or X is 2 minus I. We have
So,
2.
Where did the I come from?
Non-real answers. You were there with us. You had the root of negative 36, Ross. Is it real or imaginary?
Imaginary.
So it became the imaginary root of 36. And the root of 36 is 6. 6i.
Will we be question mark on the test where it would be like, will we
Yeah. You will. It's an algebra 2 standard. 2 non-real answers. This one's for y'all. Put it in STD form first, kids. Personally, I'd shoot everything left on this one. Some stuff for left, right? Jump the quality of your sign changes. I was not as hard as y'all want to be. Use calculator if you want. But you don't want to do right now. Minus 2. First line you guys write down ought to be 4x squared minus 12x plus 9 is 0.
I feel like I'm doing something wrong. I got x equals 3 halves positive negative square root of 0.
Oh,
What about this
You have
one?
0 over something, bro?
0, right? So that,
What's the square root of 0, Ross?
0,
What's 0 over 8?
0,
What's 3 halves plus 0? 3 halves minus 0.
So I say go 3 halves or I go 10.
No. We just went through the whole plus minus. What do you want to do? 3 halves plus 0 was 0 was 3 halves. 3 halves minus 0 was 3 halves. What's x?
3 halves.
There we go. Ross just got to ruin it for everybody to know what's going on. So now I got to do it. Because Ross just told you all the answers. Little mistakes made here from what I saw. That taking away a negative from a negative, man, that bugs a lot of kids every year. You need to fix that. When they're both negative, you add them together and make it negative. Do you remember anybody telling you that? Anybody ever tell you that? When both numbers are negative, you add them and make it negative? That's how that works. All right, so you set up a quadratic formula. What's opposite B going to look like?
How is non-positive?
Well,
Okay.
Plus or minus? What's in there?
square root of negative 12
I'm
squared
just going to write 12 squared.
minus 4 times 4 times 1.
I actually strongly encourage you to write negative 12 squared, whatever square is. Don't do it. You're going to screw it up. You're going to square something, make it what? Always, every time. I'll never twice say.
And then it's x equals 12 positive negative 144.
Notice a lot of y'all were not using calculator very well. Said you could use one. 12 squared minus 4 times 4 times 9. 0. Notice I just typed everything in at once there. Inside the radical. That's not what this is talking about. There's kids who think they can type the whole thing in at once. And in 2 months, they'll ask me where the plus or minus symbol is. Somebody this year going to ask me where the plus or minus symbol is. There isn't one. Okay? You can do little things like that all at once. We're going to write out root 0. Both pieces over twice of 4, which is an 8. What is the root of 0?
0.
What's 0 divided by 8?
0.
12 over 8 is 3 halves. You have 3 halves plus or minus 0. And here's where Ross was wanting to do something silly. And he's not the only kid who does this. He says something like plus or minus 3 halves is the answer. You're not the first kid that's ever said that to me. You're not the last kid that's ever said it. You got to think before you talk, right? What's 3 halves plus 0? What's 3 halves minus 0? There's only one answer. X is 3 halves. We have one real, it's actually repeated answer. It is repeated. Something actually happens twice. Matrices. All right, what's up next in your notes? The discriminant? It is the discriminant. The discriminant is the stuff inside the radical. What's in the radical? B squared minus 4ac. That's what the discriminant is. Discriminant is literally the stuff inside the radical. That's probably exactly what I wrote in this box. It is exactly what I wrote in that box. I will say one thing, none of y'all knew how to complete the square today. If you would have spent 5-10 minutes looking over your notes that you took yesterday, you would have known the steps. You would have. Look over your notes. That's what they're for. So I've got examples up here. I drew parabolas because we're dealing with quadratics. Do you understand that? The first parabola on your left has two real roots. It crosses the x-axis twice. See how it crosses here and here? That's two real roots. We had a situation right here where we had two real answers, right? What was in that radical when everything was said and done? 17. Okay. So you get real answers when you get real numbers inside the radical, or actually when you get positive numbers inside the radical. You get real numbers when the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, is positive. Another way of saying something is positive is saying it's more than 0. That's the note that goes there. Here's a parabola that touches the x-axis one time. It has one solution. Okay? I believe the one that we just did had one solution. What number ended up being in that radical? 0. So you get one solution when the discriminant itself ends up being equal to 0. The last example is where your parabolas don't touch the x-axis. If you don't touch the x-axis, you don't have real answers. If you don't have real answers, what kind of answers do you have? Imaginary answers. So these parabolas have no roots. You have two solutions, they're just imaginary. I think it was Joe Biden's problem that came up with imaginary solutions. Look back at Joe Biden's solution. What was in that radical? Negative. That's what matters. Because negatives inside radicals generate imaginary numbers, don't they? So what must the relationship to 0 be for the discriminant? You're going to generate negative numbers. Less than 0. You'll run across questions every once in a while. I can't guarantee you if it's on your DOC or not, but they might ask you straight up, how many solutions does this thing have? Don't ask you what they are. How many solutions does this thing have? Or it might say, describe the solutions this thing has. It doesn't say find them. Did I ever say find them? It just says describe, or how many. That's all it says. So this is where the discriminant comes into play. You won't have a set of instructions given to you like I do. This says determine the number and type of solutions. I'm going to do B with you. And it doesn't say find the solution, it just says determine the number and type. If it says determine the number of type, you're supposed to think about your discriminant, b squared minus 4ac.
So, subtract the 8.
Subtract the 8 is a good first step. Because you got to be in what form?
Standard.
Standard. And now focus on b squared minus 4ac. What are you going to replace b with?
Negative 8.
Just make it positive. Because what are you going to turn around and do to it? The reason I'm saying make that positive is because a third of my student body will write it like that. Is that right or wrong? That's wrong. You're squaring all of it. You could probably write it like that too, without parentheses. Boys especially don't like to wrap things properly. There's a joke in there somewhere, by the way. Take away 4ac.
Minus 4 times 1 times 8. That's minus 32.
That's 64 minus 32.
42.
It's 32. We just discovered the discriminant was 32. Is 32 more than 0?
Yes.
So, it turns out b squared minus 4ac is more than 0. What's that mean?
It has two real roots.
Two real solutions. Roots, solutions, zeros are all the same thing. You'll hear me use them all interchangeable. Two real solutions, answers, zeros, roots, x-intercepts. They're all the same thing. You guys do C. Don't worry about A, do C. Put it in standard form first. Don't be like Joe Biden. Of course, we all like to talk a lot of crap about Joe Biden. Joe Biden is President of the United States of America. Joe Biden's worth tens of millions of dollars. Joe Biden doing just fine, isn't he? He's doing better than me. He's doing better than y'all.
You can have tens of millions of dollars, but you could also be renewable dementia, and that isn't remember you have the money.
I'm not going to talk crap about the president. I didn't say I voted for him. I'm not going to talk crap about him. Been more successful than I have. What'd y'all get?
Zero solutions.
How? What was your number?
64 minus 64.
Yeah, you think it's supposed to be 64 minus 60. If you're struggling, man, quit struggling. Just add 15. We'll do b squared, which is 8 squared, minus 4 times 1 times 15. I don't know why it equals 0 there. Yes. Oh yeah, because we wrote the standard. That's going to end up being 4. 64 minus 60 is 4. So b squared minus 4ac's relationship to 0 is bigger. If you just glance at your notes, or maybe you can actually comprehend this at this point in time. There's 2 real solutions. Guess we shouldn't have done B. We should have done A instead. I think A had 1 solution. A was 2 imaginaries. We're not. We're going to talk about the squirrel cap hole. Height of a squirrel as a function of time when it's launched from a homemade sling is height as a function of time is 256t minus 16t squared. You never looked at one of these on YouTube? Well, you should at some point in time. Not today. Not right now.
A squirrel catapult?
Squirrel catapult. Squirrel catapult. All right. So question A says, at what time will the squirrel's height go from increasing to decreasing? So a squirrel would go up, then it would come down, right? Goes up, and then it goes down. Right here. Where are you at?
That's the
Vertex. This happens at the vertex. How do you find the x or t coordinate of the vertex in this example? It's going to be t because it's a function of t, not a function of x. That's exactly what you do. You need to get that whole thing integrated in your head sooner or later. Opposite b over 2a. That's in the quadratic formula too, isn't it? Isn't opposite b over 2a in the quadratic formula? Quadratic formula takes the vertex and it adds a little bit to get you the left zero, sorry, the right zero. It subtracts a little bit to get you the left zero. That's what it does. So, looking at your example here, what's opposite b? Negative 256 is right. Don't be the kid who sees the second thing and says it. B is found in front of x, or in front of t in this case. Over twice a, and what's a? Negative 16. So that's going to get you 256 over 32, which is?
6, 8.
8 seconds, by the way. It takes 8 seconds for this thing to hit the vertex. It's going to be in the air for quite some time. All right? Using the discriminant, determine if the squirrel will reach 500 foot in altitude. 500 foot Is that going to be height, h of t, or is that going to be t?
Height.
That's height.
So you add 500.
No, you replace this with 500. It is height.
100 times t. How's that going?
No, you replace height with 500. H of t is height as a function of time. And what was the height?
So what happened to t?
That is it. H of t is height as a function of time. What is the known height? 500. Well, now we're saying 500 is a function of time. Now, what forms I need to be in?
Standard.
Shift left or shift right?
Right.
Left. What's the
Never
benefit?
mind.
What's the benefit of shifting left?
That your squared is going to be positive.
Or is it going to be positive? It's a big deal. Now, it doesn't say when it's going to reach 500 feet, does it? It just says, will it reach 500 feet? You have to do the entire quadratic formula?
No.
What do you have to do?
Just
It's just b squared minus 4ac. Because that's going to tell you if it happens once, if it happens twice, or if it never happens at all. Because doesn't it talk about no real solutions? That'll tell you if it's going to happen or not. It's just b squared minus 4ac.
so 256 squared.
Minus 4 times a times c. What's your calculator? Figure out the number. I wouldn't have that in my head. There ain't too many people in this world who know what 256 squared is off the top of their head.
65,000.
No. Here's your calculator. The final answer is not 65,000.
No, it wasn't. I was going to say 56. I'm
Well, I don't care what that is. Just type all that in the calculator at once.
33,036.
33,536. So, how many real answers? 2 real answers. See, what's happening here is the squirrel go up and the squirrel go down. At 2 points in time, the height is 500 foot. Does that make any sense? It crosses over 500 foot, goes a whole lot higher, and then it falls and crosses that 500 foot barrier again. There's 2 actual solutions to it. When will it go splat? Squirrel goes splat when the height is what?
0.
0. What gets replaced with 0? Height or T?
T.
What's T stand for?
Time. Seconds.
Why would you replace the time with 0 feet?
I was kidding. Height. 0 equals.
We didn't finish it, but bell rang, so you're dismissed. Remember, you have a quiz tomorrow. That thing can be factored, by the way.
And the high point is at the climax.
Are you calling the vertex the climax?
Yeah.
This is why you're not doing so well. You know that, right?